Welcome back to Modern Ronin Media. I'm Tommy, and this is the channel where we talk about filmmaking for people who love the art of filmmaking. And if you guys haven't been watching any of the videos, today may be a little bit different for you. So, first off, we're in a new position. Figured this is story time more than doing at the bench with reviews or doing at the computer with screen capture. We're just going to be talking today. But before we get started, I got to ask you guys, if you guys like what you see on this channel or any of the videos you like, do me a favor, click on the like button, hit the subscribe button, and of course that little bell icon next to the subscribe button. Click on all notifications so you know when new videos are uploaded. Please comment and share this off if you find it interesting or useful. So today we're going to be talking about how I shot the Nightmare Phantom. We're going to break it down into 3 sections, starting with setting things up. What gear did I bring with me? What did I think we were going to use, and what did we actually use? Then I'm going to go into some of the technical difficulties and technical issues that we had due to said gear and some limitations. And then finally, we'll talk about some of the shots that I think were worth talking about in terms of lighting and setup. We did use a Kessler cine shooter, so stuff like that. So on Monday, March 14th, I showed up, mid-afternoon, met up with Ashley, the director, Travis, the writer, producer. We kind of gamed out what exactly we needed to do. We were going to shoot a scene here in my complex that, because of timing and the like, we ended up missing our lighting opportunity. So we reset. And then Tuesday on the 15th, I packed out and met up with them around noonish, I think. And what I packed out, so this is the gear that I took with me. Probably the equivalent, I'm guessing somewhere in the quarter grip truck area, minus gels and gobos. But so what I took with me was 6 C-stands, a bunch of light stands. I don't know the exact number. I think I took probably somewhere in the range of 8 light stands. Each C-stand had between a 36 and a 42-inch arm with a grip head on both sides, both on the stand itself and at the end of the arm, which gave me 12 grip heads plus 2 spares that I took with me on top of that. One that would sit on a light stand for smaller flags or bounce that I knew we weren't going to have to articulate out over the actors. So to the flags and bounce, I took one 18 by 24, which I'm using right here, two 24 by 36s, 140 by 40. All of those are floppy flags, so they all, the 40 by 40 turns into an 80 by 40. The 36 by 24s open on the long arm, so they turn out to be 48 by 36, just like the 18 by 24 here also opens on the long side, so it becomes a 24 by 36. So we had all of that on top of the Komodo, which I'm shooting on, the OC monitor, which is right here, which is the 24-inch OC monitor, which was both for the director and for myself to frame stuff, on top of the OC 7-inch that sits on top of the Komodo, with a SDI to HDMI splitter that I have rigged onto it in a battery pack. We did shoot on the Tokinas, the 11-20 and the 25-75. Both are T29s, and you can check out, I believe I have a video on the channel already reviewing the Tokina 11-20. And in the next week or so, we will have up the 25-75 review, which, spoiler alert, that's definitely worth watching. So that, along with the Kessler Cine Slider, or shuttle dolly, we did not take the Cine Slider because I just figured a 3-foot run in the cases that we were supposed to use the shuttle dolly wouldn't have made sense. With 8-foot track, we also took the Kessler Cine Shooter if we were going to run some motion control. We took a spare tripod. I don't know what the tripod brand, I think it's a Sunto, that the Komodo, which is recording this right now, is sitting on. We took our Manfrotto big tripod. That was going to be the primary tripod that we were going to use to shoot all of our static shots. Then we have our camera tools, we have our stands, we have our flags and diffusion. So we have all of our grip, our camera, and now let's talk about lighting. We took with us one Aperture Amaran P60C. I own 2 of them. Unfortunately, one of them was back at Aperture getting fixed for a Bluetooth issue, and thank you, Aperture. I received the repair. Unfortunately, it didn't make it back in time. We may or may not have actually used it on this. We had the 300X with the 2X Fresnel. We had the Godox 60SW or SL. I always get the Godox naming conventions weirded out. That was specifically attached to the Aperture Spotlight. We had the 60D and the 100D. So that was our lighting package. We now have our grip, our lighting, and camera package. That was the entirety of what we took. So where we shot was a home that we were using. And if you watch some of the pre-production video pre-production and the, oh God, why am I drawing blank? The backlot.app video that I did, we broke everything down, not by scene, but set up for location. So let's talk about our setups. We had a 3-bedroom house with a very open floor plan when it came to the kitchen living room area. So we took the master, deconstructed everything in the master, deconstructed everything in one of the bedrooms. So that was one of the issues that we had that I'll get into with the actual production days. And we set up a psychologist's office, a psychologist's home office. Then when it came to the living room, we redid it for the psychologist's living room. We also had one exterior shot and at the house, and we had one exterior shot that we were going to do here in my complex, but after discussing it with everyone, it just kind of looked, after we missed our first window, it just kind of looked too barren at that location here in my complex. So we found another place to shoot it that far better suits what the character would have been working in. So that was for the first 4 days, 3 days. We were at this home setting up. So our first setup on Tuesday, after we arrived, everything kind of goes a little sideways. We deconstructed the rooms. We got our first round of shooting in at probably, we rolled camera probably at 2. So we are already about 2 hours behind schedule, which if you've worked on short films, even with medium to larger size budgets, things don't always go according to the schedule. So that was not out of the ordinary. It was nothing to be frustrated over or whatever, but knowing that we had some hard ins and hard outs at this home location, it did get a little bit stressful there, but we improvised. So what we did was we set up the space the way we needed it for our master shots. Instead of going on a tripod, we actually set up on the shuttle dolly. And what that did for me as a DP, it gave me the ability to shoot a wide master and and then do an immediate moving master, and then be able to do some furniture rearrangements and just dolly right to where I needed it. And what we quickly realized on that first day was that having subtle movement and things really did make a difference. Not just relying on the characters to move, but having just subtle, tiny, we're talking inches of camera movement on certain phrases really would make a difference. So that was the first 4 days, and or the first 3 days. Then we struck that set, did a move back to my house. So the way that it was originally set up, I've known Travis for years, and he originally wrote the script to have this bedroom scene in my loft, in this specific place. I thought I'd be moved out of here prior to us shooting, so it was off the table. When I ended up renewing my lease, it came back on the table, and the entire week we'd been back and forth. Due to some issues I'm not going to go deep into, it just made more sense to shoot it here to get as much of what we needed, which was a great help to me because, as you'll see in a picture I'll post or I'll edit in here, my little Subaru Outback was stuffed with gear. That is a type of gear that you don't leave in your car overnight. So being back here on Friday, striking that set, then loading out and then bringing everything home made it just a lot easier for me to be able to come back here and set up, which is what I did while they were doing what they needed. And then we ran some motion controls stuff, which we'll talk about that later. And then finally reloaded. And on Saturday, we actually went to a theater stage and shot the final location, for lack of a better word, again. So without going into details on the script, there's a whole bunch of intercutting between the main character and a space that was shot on or shot at the theater stage location. So it'd be really hard to say, like, scene was, for sake of discussion, scene 1 here, bedroom. Scene 2 would have been the theater stage location. Scene 3, back to the bedroom. Scene 4, and it almost did that for pretty much every single scene. So to say that we shot in scene a group of scenes just doesn't make any sense. So it's easier just to talk in terms of locations, which is how we've been talking about this since we've been having these conversations here. So everything went good. The Tokina lenses were stunning. The lights by Aperture were absolutely stunning, and they performed exactly as I needed them. Now, in all honesty, had we had a budget for grip gear, I still would have stayed, or for lighting gear, I still would have stayed with Aperture. 100% because of Situs, because I could control everything from the iPad, which is one of the things we'll get into next with some of the issues we had. And it didn't require me to be too distracted from the monitor, staring at it and saying, okay, is the framing right? Is the focus right? Then going and moving lights and then coming back. I could do it all from the pad. And so if we would have had a budget, we probably would have rented probably at least 1 or 2 more 300Ds and kept the X on standby for, say, night scenes where we were trying to get warmer, and we would have used that tungsten. We would have definitely gotten a 600D or X instead of having to close windows for a variety of reasons. At least on our night scene, we could have just shot a ton of light into the living room through the windows. It would have given it a slightly different effect. I don't know knowing what happens in those scenes, and I'm not going to spoil it too much, maybe the closed blinds was the right choice, not just because it was we had to shoot some day for night, but also because it wouldn't have worked with the story had we had the blinds up. It may have tweaked the whole feel of the story. That being said, yeah, we would have definitely gone with that. Another thing I would have definitely rented would have been a follow focus system for Kessler's motion control. It's hard to do focus pulling while you're doing a move when you don't have someone who is highly skilled in focus pulling.